Every year, a couple times a year usually, is after we do one of our weekend missions trips, which we did last weekend to Eagle Pass, is to have the students that were on the trip come and speak to all of you, their classmates, their peers, and tell you what happened on that trip, why they went on that trip, what they saw God doing on that trip. So I know there's a lot of you that haven't been with us before, and you wonder, what is this thing for, what do they do, what's it all about? And so I think the best ones to tell them that, and to tell you the heart of why they do, why they volunteer, why they give up their whole weekend and pay their own way to go and do these things. We have about 400 people that go with us every year. We do 6 of these trips every year, usually Laredo, Eagle Pass, and Del Rio. And then we do each one of those twice. And then, so we went to Eagle Pass this last weekend, and I wanted these guys to share a little bit with you and to tell you about it. And if we have any time left over at the end, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the nuts and bolts of how we do that. But I want to give them all the time that we have. And so that's going to be Matt Miller and Jen Spear, Ryan Ross, and Mark Dean. And first up is Matt Miller.
Hello everyone, my name is Matt. I'm a DS2. I've been on 3 mission trips now, including the one this summer in Guatemala. I didn't know that picture was going to be up, and I promise I didn't go just to boost my self-esteem by arms. The trip was really special, and I've had a lot of classmates ask me why we go on these trips, and it was something that I had to ask myself too. I noticed that I was really inspired by dentists that go on these trips that use their vacation dates that ironically work. I was really inspired by that and wondered why they do that. For your first year dental students, I know you just took an exam and physical evaluation. I remember Dr. Huber, when he was trying to tell us how we should interact with our patients, he was saying, you don't want to be sympathetic with your patients, you want to be empathetic with your patients. Basically, the difference is, if you're sympathetic with your patients, then you participate in their feelings. If you're empathetic with your patients, you understand their feelings, but you don't participate in their feelings, which basically I took it as just don't cry for patients cry. But to me, that wasn't enough. It wasn't satisfying to know that, that I didn't have a real connection with my patients. And it was on these mission trips that I learned something greater, and that's compassion. The difference between compassion and empathy is that compassion recognizes injustice, it recognizes poverty, it recognizes that there's a great need in the world, and it drives you and motivates you to do something about it. When we were in Guatemala, we treated over 2,000 people, the dental team and the medical team. And I saw some of the greatest needs I've ever seen in my whole life. I can tell you that it will change the future doctor that I will be and hope to become. And it was really inspiring for me. And I just want to encourage you that if you're a first year, or if you're a 4th year, or whatever your skill set is, you're needed on these trips. A lot of these people, they have nothing. And your presence being there alone is enough for them. And then I just wanted to finish with a quote, because I like quotes. Basically, it's God's calling for you in your life is where your deep gladness in the world's deep hunger meet. I really like that quote because dentistry and the healing profession in general just gives us a pretty amazing opportunity to have a real impact on people's lives. You can see it physically. So I would just encourage you to not let these 4 years or however long you're here at school come and go quickly without doing something great, because God calls you to greatness, and He's glad when you do His work in the mission field, and He rewards you with gladness as well. So that's what I have.
One on the right, bottom right.
There you go.
Okay, hello, my name is Jenny. I'm a first-year PA student, and I'm here to talk about the medical aspect of the trip. This trip was unique in the fact that I think a lot of medical, or most of my PA class, 10 or 11 of them, went to the August trip, and then September, either there was tests, or a lot of people signed up for the October trip. There was literally only 2 of us. It was myself and my other classmate, Aaron, that went from UTHSCSA for the medical side, as well as we had about 10 to 12, sorry, I'm very nervous. 10 or 12 undergraduate students that work alongside us. So for the medical part, all the patients come through us prior to going to dental or on to see the doctor. They come to us and we do their blood pressure, we check their glucose level. If they're known to be diabetic, we'll do their A1C and their hemoglobin. We don't get to do as cool stuff like as dental, they're extracting teeth and doing procedures and cleaning and getting a lot of hands-on, but we get to talk with the patients some and just get to really know what's going on with them. I was just going to talk about a couple of the patients that I encountered. These patients are so excited that CMDA is coming to visit. I even noticed this. This is my very first trip. I'm a first-year student and I just started school in July. So from the very first night, it was apparent to me that it was a big deal every time CMDA came to Eagle Pass. One of the translators came and talked to us the night before we ever went there and just expressed what gratitude the city had. And they wanted to put an article in the local magazine about CMDA and everything that they're doing. In our role, we're just assessing the patients and letting them go on to dental or to the medical side. But even in these patients, you can just see in their eyes that hurt. There was a gentleman that I just kept being drawn to go talk to him and try to understand, because his eyes was just depression or just really hurt. Well, he didn't tell me anything that was going on, but later after talking to somebody else, I found out his wife had recently died and he had 3 young children at home that he was having to care for while trying to work, and he just had all these burdens. So sometimes on the medical side, what we're doing and the medicine that we're prescribing to them may only last for that month that they don't afford, they don't go back to seek further care. But being able to pray with them and to sit with them and to give them hope and just to talk to them and encourage them, I hope that that lasts a lot longer than the medicine that we're giving them. Something that God's really been pressed upon my heart the last year is just really like be my hands and feet. Not just me, like all of us. We're here to like further His kingdom, and to me, just going out and serving. So whether you are going on this trip just to get more knowledge and medical experience if you're a first year stuck in the didactic phase and you just want to go out there and get some action, or you're a student that has had volunteerism ingrained in them, or if you're a student that wants to go out and really put your feet to the ground praying for others, this is a great opportunity to go out and just serve other people. After I told Scott that I would stand up here and talk about the medical aspect, then I got really nervous because I'm not a very good public speaker, so I apologize. But God being God, I had opened up my devotion book next to my bed, and the devotion for the day was actually about the power of your hands. So I'm just going to read the verse. So the power of our hands. Job 17:9. But those who do right will continue to do right, and he who has clean hands will continue to grow stronger and stronger. Are we proud of how we're using our hands? Hands extending with a gift, hands giving support to others and encouraging with a pat on the back. Are we doctoring wounds and preparing meals for others? Or are we hands that are taking more often than giving, demanding instead of offering? Unmanaged, they become weapons striving after power, greed, lust. But if we manage our hands, they become not just instruments of grace, not just tools in the hands of God, but we can be God's very own hands. So nobody ever has seen God, but us being out there on the ground, serving others and giving to others, we are being God to them. He sees us through them. We may be urged to say hi to someone or give them a smile or sit down and talk with someone that may not be in their character. But going out of your way and sitting down and talking to someone, you don't know what they were going through that day and you don't know what was going on. So this trip is medical and dental and reaching out to communities that may not have the financial ability or access to the care. We're going out to them and giving them this kind of dental and medical care. But I think the care to their soul and heart is just as important. That's all. Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Brian Ross. I'm a DS2, and thank you all for coming out and taking time out of your busy day to come here and speak about why the mission trip means so much to us. So I've been on about 5 or 6 mission trips since my junior year in college. I went to Texas State, so I guess I'm the veteran of the group. And Eagle Pass kind of has a bigger meaning to me than I guess any of the ones I've been on, because a couple weeks into school, I think it's like mid-July, a good friend of mine actually passed away, and he was from Eagle Pass. So before I went, I made sure to pray and kind of like think back. I want to make sure I give back to this community who gave me someone who meant so much to me. And so that was a big thing for this mission trip, so it meant a lot to me. And I guess the big thing about mission trips is being able to help others, being able to help people that need help more than you do. Because we talk about like how we need our Starbucks coffee or we need our Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich or whatever, but these people really need help and they're in pain. So the fact that we can do that is a huge boost. And another thing about it is we actually get to apply what we learn, which is pretty big to me, because being in the library all day long isn't the funnest thing. And going through the histology and going through the biochemistry, it kind of gets you down. But every time that I've been, I've come back with something more to motivate me. I've come back with a story. I've come back with a relationship. I've come back with friendship with a patient, be it with a dentist or whoever it was. So you always bring something back with you. You don't just leave what you do there. And so the relationships that you form with your doctors and you form with your patients, they're long lasting. Because anytime that I see the people that I work with, be it the third year students, be it what used to be the second year, the fourth year, the dentist, whoever it is, you kind of have an understanding that like between you have something that a lot of people don't have, the ability to want to give back to people with nothing in return. And so it's kind of a respect that you share between the people that you work with. Also, another reason this trip was really rewarding for me is because I got to do my first filming, which as a second year is something you kind of like dream about doing. And I was under supervision of the dentist, so I didn't just go out there and do it. So whenever the patient sat down and we saw that he had pain on tooth number 11, or tooth number 12, excuse me, he sat down and we numbed him up, we triaged to make sure we were working on the right tooth, which is pretty important, you'd be surprised. And we prepped him up and then we got him going. And at the end of every sit-up, he had this smile that I'll never forget. He stood up with a bounce in his step and stuck his hand up and said, "Gracias, señor." And it meant so much. So that's something that I'll never forget. That'll be something that I'll remember till the day I die. So I want to say thank you to Scott, thank you to Kelly for organizing all these things. And I don't think I'd be here if it weren't for the mission trips, because whenever I was in Texas State and having a hard time, whenever I'm here and I'm struggling with grades or struggling with the test, I always have something like concrete to think about. Something to really think about why I do what I do, and a reason to wake up every morning and be excited. So if you haven't gone on a mission trip, make sure you go on one. And if you have been going on, keep doing it, because the work that you do goes beyond what you think. Thank you.
Yeah, working hard, right?
I was trying to get one that didn't have that head covering that you wore in Guatemala.
Go Irish. I'm working, and I'm a DS2. So this Eagle Pass trip was my third trip, including Guatemala this summer. And the mission trips have meant a great deal to me. And I just want to share 2 quick stories about this past week. So, before I do that, though, I'd like to read a verse. This is from Matthew. And after Jesus is encouraging his disciples not to live in fear or anxiousness, Jesus says, "Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all of these things will be given to you as well." He's talking about things. And I found that as a student in professional school, as a dental student, it's easier than ever before in my life to become self-consumed. Everything I'm doing is about myself. Oftentimes I find I'm worried about my grades. It's easy to get caught up in ranking. You think about your future, your resume, and if you're doing enough for that. We start trying to turn everything to our own advantage, to maximize our efficiency. And that can be a little disruptive. And we can even do this towards mission trips. I know some of us have gone on mission trips because of the cool things that you get to do and the experience you get to glean. You hope to learn more than you could just in class in the entire way. And this is partially true. And my second story is going to be kind of about that. But mission trips are also about sacrificial sacrifice. They're about giving up yourself in imitation of Christ for those who need it, who are in pain, and that we're being trained to do something about. So, Legal Pass this weekend, and this is a small story and it's not very dramatic, but I got to help set up the radiology center for our dental clinic. And on dental mission trips, you develop your films with Fixer and Developer and all this stuff, things that you hear about in lecture that you know you're probably never going to do outside of missional ministry. And that meant that was purely, on my Saturday morning, was purely learning a skill that is only useful for service. And I thought it was really powerful because it's still very useful to those people there. It's still important to have clinical radiographs before you do a filling and make sure that number 12 is the one you're not number 11. Pretty important. So I just thought about how I'm not building my resume. And it reminded me that that's my role here as well. I'm seeking the kingdom first in Eagle Pass, seeking the kingdom first in Guatemala, but I need to be doing that here as well. And it's powerful from my perspective and a great reminder for my relationship with Christ. I'm not here to get a residency or get good grades or even necessarily to get some sort of accolade or good job from people for doing a good job on an exam. I'm here only to seek first the kingdom of God and whatever that means. And so that really helps me get through the difficulties of school. Second story is related to the fact that Jesus commanded his disciples to go and make disciples. So what that means is that mission trips are one of the best places you can go to get trained. We had 9 or 10 dentists go to Eagle Pass with us. More physicians, we've got nurses who go out there. There are physical therapists who go out there. There are pharmacists, people who, for them, they're not spending money to do what they do on a weekly basis. They're making money. And they're tired and they can rest. And they decide to go. And they decide to go for 2 reasons. They decide to go and serve the people so that the kingdom expands and that people are experiencing the love of Christ. But they also go to train us to be the next generation doing that. And that's really powerful. I was cleaning teeth a lot this past weekend. We had a lot of people who had a lot of calculus, which is awesome, for learning to clean teeth. And a dentist spent half an hour with me, teaching me how to clean more efficiently, teaching me how to evaluate a patient's needs more, and teaching me little tricks that he picked up with instruments over the years. And you don't get that kind of experience very often, to have someone who knows so much, spends so much time just training. And I thought that was awesome, and it reminded me that even though the purpose of these trips is not to gain some sort of special experience or pull your first tooth or anything like that, because of the people who are on it are followers of Jesus, you might get served in really cool ways, and you might be trained in ways that you never expected. So I can't recommend mission trips enough. I love them. It's hard to go, I know that, but as Brian said, go on one and just experience what it's like to be around these people. That guy right there is a great dentist in the dark blue, Dr. Brian Hill, and he's a graduate of UTHSCSA, and he's now going and training people. It's awesome. So I love to give rides too, so if you're ever hoping to go and you can't find a way to get down there, look me up on Facebook and we'll figure it out and make sure you get the transportation you need. So that's all I have.
All right. Great job, you guys. We might have to have students speak every week, Kelly. We'll just have them do it and rotate through. Great job. The only things that I could add to that, maybe that would be helpful to all of the students, all of you out there who have not gone on a trip with us before, is maybe just a little bit of the nuts and bolts. How do we actually get from here to there? And so just very quickly, what we do is we take all the registrations that you all send them and all the payments, and then we book a hotel down in Eagle Pass or Del Rio or wherever we're going for Friday night, and we, Kelly and I, split up all the clinic space, and according to however many dental students, advanced dental students, dentists, physicians, medical students that we have go on the trips, then that's how many that I tell them we can schedule. And we don't do a first come, first serve. If we did, we would be quickly overwhelmed in our clinics, and a lot of people would go away disappointed at the end of the day because they wouldn't be able to be seen in just the one day that we're down there. So we schedule the patients, we work with Health and Human Services down the border, and we schedule the patients, and then they come in on Saturday in blocks throughout the day. So it's kind of spaced out, keeps the traffic at a manageable level. And so we meet here at the school, those that are going down on Friday night, and then we caravan down. We have folks like Mark who offer to drive, and they have so many seats in their car, and we know who offers to drive and how many seats we have available. And then we put the ones that need a ride in those cars, and then everybody caravans down to wherever we're going on the border. We stay in the hotel on Friday night. We have a team meeting down there on Friday night where we give you guys a little bit of orientation, and we talk about some of the things that we're going to be doing on Saturday, and just have a team meeting then. And then Saturday morning we start early. We go out to 2 different clinic sites, and I don't know if you can see from the pictures that I had up at the beginning that we we worked in the Mexican consulate this time in Eagle Pass, and then we also worked in a school there. And that's typically the setup that we're in. We're either in a church or a community center, a school, or the Mexican consulate, any basically open space where we have the power that we need for all of our dental equipment, and then we can go down and set up. And all of the equipment that you guys see them using, like you see Tiffany Chung using here, for the dental part. Sorry, let me see if I can bring that all the way up. So that you see them using here. The ministry owns those. CMDA owns that equipment, the ADEC units, everything, right down to the handpieces and the burrs. And we have all of the equipment that we need to do cleanings, fillings, extractions for the dental. We have all of the equipment that we need to do the basic medical testing, like Jenny was talking about, with the glucometers, A1C, hemoglobin, everything. God has blessed us with a great deal of equipment that we can use for you guys to be able to work on these trips and to be able to offer as much in the way of services to people as we can during these very, very short trips. So it's a whirlwind. We usually start cleaning up about 5 o'clock. 4:30, 5 o'clock on Saturday evening, and then we head back to San Antonio, and we're usually back home by 10 or so. So it's a very short trip, it's a whirlwind, and yet so much is accomplished in the way of what happens in the hearts and the lives of those people who need the care that you guys are being trained to provide. So as the student said so well, it's just a great experience. It's a win-win for everybody. And I don't know if I mentioned, but of course all of our care is free to everyone. And so there's just so many people down there that cannot afford getting access to care. We don't screen as far as who's documented, who's not. A lot of people will come to see us that are undocumented because they are in a safe place. We don't screen for that. We're not trying to solve that problem. That's going to have to be solved by other people besides us. But we see everybody and welcome everybody that comes. So the last thing I want to tell you is that every trip is different. And this trip certainly was in the fact that we had a visitor at one of our clinics. Now, the perspective is kind of off here, but this is right near the door to the clinic at the school that we were at. We're just about a quarter of a mile from the river. And this guy happens across the sidewalk at the front of the clinic. I thought he was just coming in for cleaning or something like that, you know. And yet we didn't know what to do with him. So as the guys are standing around trying to figure out what we can do with this snake, now the perspective is a little off here. This snake is probably 6 feet long. Not really. It's not even probably 2 feet long. But the guys, you know, the guys are all standing around wondering, what are we going to do with this thing? What should we, you know, try to kill it or should we shoo it off into? Well, there was a school, an elementary school next door, so we thought, nah, it's probably not a good idea to send it over there. And then we didn't want it to stay where we were, which was a kindergarten building. So as the guys, the men are all standing around trying to figure out what to do with this thing, a teacher who is one of our translators and has been on many trips with us, her name is Laura Galindo, comes out with a metal shovel and does this. She just decapitates the thing. And then she just scoops it up and just casually throws it over into the bushes, and then she turns around and looks at us all with our mouths hanging open. She says, what? We did this all the time at home. I think she lives in Atkins, Texas. We do this all the time. Scorpions, rattlesnakes, all those, no big deal to her. So we were saved by Laura Galindo. Her name now is Laura Dundee for all of the future trips. And that was the one big different thing that happened on this trip. But no two trips are the same. Everyone's an adventure. And we would love to have all of you guys go with us anytime that you can. So thank you to all the students for speaking today. Next week we'll be back over at the dental school, first floor lecture hall.